Hi everyone, how's it going? Thanks again for tuning in into this video. We will be taking a look at the WWE Thunderdome experience. I apologize in advance for the bad editing and overall quality of the video in advance, just because I'm trying to get this out before Smackdown, because I think if I get it out any later, it won't have the same amount of impact. So I apologize in advance. But yeah, let's take a look at the review. So yeah, I initially wanted to sign up for the SmackDown Thunderdome experience, but those slots filled up fairly quick. But I actually got an email the day before where it was for this WWE Thunderdome sneak peek link. So I was kind of curious and, just decided to sign up anyway. I actually don't know what the criteria was. I don't know if I'm on a special emailing list for buying a bunch of stuff or anything, or just being a part of the network. But yeah, I just got this email, and then it had said to just log back in with the link at 5:15 Eastern time. I'm on the West Coast, so I just decided to jump on at 2:15 just to see if it worked. And funny enough, in the email it says that you can only click on a link once, so don't click it ahead of your time slot. But later on, once you actually log in, they actually tell you to just keep clicking that link in order to go through the process. So yeah, I went through this whole process here where I clicked the link, then it started telling me to sign up. You'll see the sign up form here where the queue was actually not that bad for me. I just clicked there and then filled out the information similar to the SmackDown one, then just signed the terms of condition and everything. At first, it didn't work, where you'll kind of see here in the video where it just didn't work. So I just refreshed, and after that, it was able to just go through the whole flow again. So I just clicked the link, and then from there, checked, hit enter, and I believe at that point it just kind of spun me around. So I kind of cut it here just because it did take a couple of minutes, but it wasn't too bad by that point. And once I got into the queue, then it kind of just went through the setup flow with the camera and everything. So yeah, at this point I just got in, got the audio, made sure that it was the microphone and the camera access. So any basic flow if you use any other video software recently, like Zoom or Skype, where they just kind of ask you this whole setup. And yeah, I just made sure that the camera, and it was pretty simple once you actually got in there, and then just went kind of into this waiting queue here. But again, I didn't have to wait too long at that point, where it was just kind of loading, and then from there it kind of kicked off into the infamous WWE celebrities video. I'm pretty sure if you were following all the live tweets from folks who also got in, they had mentioned this video where it was by Flow Rider, and is literally just looping for close to an hour, because I believe everyone also got the same time slot, and I don't think this actually got started until about an hour later. So the I don't have the audio for that one, or I don't believe I do, but I'll insert the audio next of one of the producers giving us instructions on when the first match was going to begin. But I believe around the 30-minute mark, one producer came on and said that we were actually get started at 6:05, so just to click the link again, and then we'll get started at that point. So yeah, at this point we were pretty much just waiting. I was kind of live tweeting with a bunch of people who were also in the same boat, so we were just kind of patiently waiting as much as we could, but making fun of this video where WWE loves to promote so many things. So yeah, in the next clip here, I'll go ahead and play some of the producer audio from the actual event.
Thunderdome, thank you for being patient with us and logging back in as requested. This is going to be a virtual viewing experience like no other. Coming up here in a couple of minutes, we're going to have a couple of matches that will enable us to test the visual effects that you'll see starting tomorrow night on Smackdown on Fox. Please understand that this is a test. We appreciate you joining us, and we appreciate your patience. Again, welcome to the Thunderdome, and we're going to get started here shortly. 2 minutes.
So yeah, at that point, it wasn't actually too bad. So we were just waiting for, roughly about 2 minutes, and then they actually did a pretty funny thing where you'll see in a couple minutes where they actually had the producers do some of the entrances, and it was very weird, but it was also very entertaining to see. And as you can see, you'll see past me at the bottom of the screen there, where it's just my face that's going to be shown later. And so it was very interesting to see like how they had already set you up here before they actually started recording. So yeah, I'll show you the next clip here. So yeah, this is so it was amazing that they actually used the pyro and everything coming out in this entrance. And yeah, it was kind of cool seeing that it was just the producers themselves and it wasn't one of the wrestlers. But at first I thought that this whole sneak peek was just going to be a bunch of producers doing entrances and just testing out different cameras, and not I didn't think there was actually going to be any real wrestling, just because yeah, beforehand the producer did not mention anything about which superstars are going to show up, what the card was. So when this is the first thing that you see, you think that they are actually just going to do this for however long they're going to do it. I forgot to mention, that was the other part too, is that they didn't really give a specific time of how long this test was going to go for. So at this point, I'm just really going in the dark, so to speak, where we don't know any of the wrestlers that are participating in this, if there are any. And then on top of that, we don't know how long this actual special is going to be. And in this case, yeah, we just have another producer come out during Sheamus's entrance. So I think this is pretty cool. And yeah, as you can tell here, they're definitely using the most out of the arena, having even the screens at the top of the arena, which I think looks amazing. Like, so far, this is all just visuals, so it's interesting to see what they've planned out so far. Alrighty, so this is actually the first matchup, which I was really happy to see that they were actually going to do wrestlers. So this is where it gets kind of cool, where we have Jake Atlas coming out here, and obviously that is not Braun Strowman and any of his entrants, but they were really pretty much doing a real test drive where they were checking out all the graphics and putting out the music. Obviously, I've muted it so far. I'll turn the audio back on after the entrances here, just so I don't get hit with a copyright. But yeah, as you can tell, they're using everything pretty much set up for all the LCDC screens, and they have his entrance video and his music. But Jake Atlas is pretty much still playing his own character, where he's not acting like Braun Strowman. But as I mentioned on Tom Campbell's interview, they'll probably all the wrestling folks in the WWE Wrestling 2K community are probably going to modify these entrances now. And then we have Tahiti Miles, where he's actually being one of the Lucha House Party members. And as you can see, that they had played all the graphics during the entrance and throughout the entire thing with the LCD screens all around the arena. And yeah, in a couple of seconds here, you'll see the transition going into the fans. But right now, they're still playing with the graphics, showing the piñatas off, and yeah, visually it was amazing. I think now I'm finally able to appreciate it more, that I'm not trying to like capture everything. So this is kind of like a good rewatch for me, because the first time, obviously, I was just trying to record everything to make sure I had the footage ready. But now that I'm actually able to rewatch it now, it's just visually stunning on how everything looks. And yeah, as you can see here, you start seeing the introduction of the fans. So I believe that the entrance music is done, so I'll put on the audio for a bit. Oh, sorry. Let me change that. So I'm gonna lower it a little bit here. You'll hear some of these sound effects because I'm also taking photos of when I was posting on social media. But yeah, here you kind of have and this kind of gives you a grand scale of how I don't think that they had it this zoomed out later on. I think this is when they were trying to figure everything out. And as you can kind of hear, they don't have commentary for the first two matches. It's pretty much where only the third match actually finally brought out commentators. I actually don't know the gentleman's name, so if anyone knows in the comments, feel free to post them in there once we get to that match. But as you can tell, yeah, this is pretty much what WWE was promoting with this whole Thunderdome idea, is to showcase everyone that tuned into this sneak peek. And I'm not gonna lie, now I'm kind of used to it. But if this is your first time watching this before the SmackDown premiered later today, then I would imagine that this is an eyesore for you. And it was definitely for me, where I was not able to focus at all on the wrestlers. Where right now I'm actually, my eyes are a little bit more adjusted, just because after editing this video that I'm able to kind of get used to it now, where I'm actually focusing more on the wrestlers. But I will not lie and say that the first time I watched this live, they were very, very weird to me, where they stood out. And as you can kind of see here too, they are repeating some of the same fans, and at the same time there are still some kind of gray and black spots that are not filled out. So I imagine they were testing everything, and then I would imagine too that they might have had some connection issues with some of the people who were originally tuned in. That's a perfect shot here, where you can kind of see the repeat of fans using the same footage. So yeah, I would only imagine that they were just trying to work out the kinks of people dropping in and out, and not being able to kind of change on the fly. So hopefully this kind of gave them an idea of how to work on that before the SmackDown premiere. And as I was chatting about that, you also kind of saw some of the drone shots, where this is WWE's first time also. I don't know if it's the first time, because I know they may have used it for some WrestleMania shots on some of the larger stadiums. But as far as like kind of these smaller arenas, I believe this is the first time that they're doing the drones, just because I would imagine before it would have gotten the fans away. But at this point, since it's all virtual, they're able to kind of use them. And yeah, they provide some really interesting shots like this, where we wouldn't have been able to see them before, and it kind of gives you a sense of the grand scale with everything. So I think, yeah, these far away shots and widescreen shots that are not the hard cam look the best. And yeah, it doesn't give you kind of an eyesore. And as you can kind of see here, this is definitely not the typical production uh, editing that they would normally use, because they would not pan like this. And as there's so many jokes online about WWE's frequent camera switches, I think this is kind of the pace that we're kind of looking for more, where it's a little bit more focused, where it doesn't change so often. But at the same time, they wouldn't linger on a shot that long, especially when it's not focusing on the superstars themselves. So it's kind of a cool way to see them do this behind the scenes production work, to kind of give you an idea of how the matches look when they're testing out everything. And it reminds me of similar days where some of the matches from Heat and Shotgun Saturday Night had leaked out, where there was no commentary, and it's them just kind of testing the cameras out before Raw or SmackDown at that point. So it's very similar vibe with this sneak peek preview. And yeah, like, these shots look great. I would imagine they will look even better once they kind of figure out the kinks with the different cameras with the fans, instead of having the repeating camera shots, and kind of just getting more used to the flow of everything. I had also mentioned in the interview that it did kind of feel weird that there wasn't any commentary at this point, and I didn't think that there would be, so I was a bit surprised later on when they actually had commentary on the last match. So yeah, it's very interesting. I will give them credit for, I don't know how long they've been planning this move, but for whatever they did, and I know that they're going to get a lot of positive and negatives from the wrestling community, but I will say just firsthand, this is I thought it was a good idea to try out for before you go on to SmackDown. I thought they would have definitely done it a lot earlier and not the day before SmackDown. I think if they had done a couple of these sessions earlier, where maybe a week or two ahead and just do a couple of them just to kind of work out the kinks. But as long as they tried one, then I think that's at least better than just going live on SmackDown and getting these results where you have the multiple fans especially on the hard cam. That's where it definitely loses the uh, the illusion that we're trying to make it seem grander. Um, and I'm sorry if I'm not talking about the wrestling match as much. I know that that these guys are definitely still committing to a full match, and yeah, all these matches actually ran pretty long if you include the entrance times, where I believe this match is probably the longest match, where it was around 10 minutes, and the other matches were about 8 to 9 minutes. So uh, I'm really glad that they actually put out three long matches that equaled roughly about 30 minutes of content. The I guess the overall event time, as I mentioned before, I'm on Pacific time on the West Coast, so I logged in at 2:15, but didn't get started. Uh, they didn't get started in doing all this pre-production and then the first match until 3:05, and I believe this matchup probably started around 3:10 or 3:15, and yeah, there were some breaks in between the matches, and I'll include it after this match, where I'll include the second producer note and the final one, where the producer, same thing, they didn't really give us too many instructions. They were very, very short, roughly like 10 to 30 seconds, just telling us to just make sure that we're in position. As you can see from past Nando at the bottom, that there it looks like now that I'm looking at it, it looks like I have bruised myself. Oh, and I think Jake Atlas is gonna hit his finisher here for the win. Uh, so yeah, the delay of course too is with the fans, where they aren't reacting in real time because of the delay. But some folks, you'll see later on in the other matches, that they do react to some of the bumps and then clap. Even I even clap at some of the matches just to kind of interact a little bit more. But yeah, it's this is the first matchup, and I'll go ahead and play the producer note leading into the second match in a second here. But as I was saying, as you can kind of see at the bottom with my past self, you can kind of see the outline that they told us to stay in there. And one of the producers just mentions that if folks can kind of just stay in there, so we can get a good shot of everybody, and everyone's not too far back or anything. That's a pretty cool shot there, where you can kind of see the fans behind Jake. So yeah, overall, it was now that I'm kind of watching it back, it was definitely a pretty good opening match for this test. And yeah, at this point, then it just kind of leads back into the producer's note, which I'll play for you next.
Rejoining us, we're about a minute or two away from our second match of the evening. So thank you again for your patience and for joining us for this test tonight. Just a friendly reminder: if we can keep our cameras in a stationary position, that will help the overall look and feel. So if we could keep our cameras in a stationary position and just avoid getting up and leaving the framing of the camera. We'd like to see you front and center of the screen. Thanks, everybody.
All right, so now we're gonna get into the second match here, and again, they did it where the wrestlers came out to different entrances and music. So both Casey and Caden Carter came out to Sasha Banks's entrance, which I thought was pretty cool. It actually kind of worked a little bit. I don't know why, but they definitely grooved into the entire music. Again, I've muted this part just so I wouldn't get hit with any music copyright. But I won't review the entire match. I'll just kind of talk about some of the snippets here and play some of the camera angles that show the scope of everything. Then we kind of have the entrances of, I believe, let me get the names right, Jesse Kama and Indy Hartwell. I'm not as familiar with Jesse, but I know that Indy Hartwell has been showing up on NXT lately and in overall in WWE programming. And the two of them came out to Asuka's entrance here. Same thing. They were just kind of playing themselves and not really going into like Asuka's entrance, and really cool visual that you see here at the top of the arena. Then yeah, they do pretty much similar to the first matchup where there isn't commentary throughout the match, so you can definitely hear some the producer notes and just kind of chatter between the ladies throughout the matchup. And yeah, they in this one you can kind of see that they're also trying to play around still with the fans, and as you heard from the producer, excuse me, that they were trying to tell everyone to just try to remain in their seats. Let me play the audio back here. Uh, Let me turn it up a little bit more. So yeah, they telling folks to not leave their spot just so they can kind of capture them. So that was really the only instructions, are the ones that I'm playing throughout the matches. Those were literally the only producer notes, and yeah, the emails didn't specify any of this. So it's literally, if you if you were away from your desk at those moments, then yeah, you would have missed out on those producer notes. Um, but yeah, as you can kind of see here, they're definitely playing around with the scope of the fans' cameras throughout the matches. They are not as small as the first matchup. They kind of are playing around with them, and I believe it was during this match or the third match where they also start playing a little bit with the front lights on the hard cam fans on the front row. Here it's kind of weird where like they're kind of mostly blacked out here, but later on they kind of lower the lights a little bit in those just to play around with the lights. And same thing here. I believe I know definitely by the third match my eyes were still now were more used to the visual of the fans with the wrestling, but I believe in the second match it was still kind of hard to kind of get used to the mashup between the two. So yeah, I like I said, I'm waiting for this one specific shot to kind of show you how diverse uh, the camera work has been because of the drone shots. But after that, I'll kind of move on to the last match and play the producer video, or I should say, the producer audio before. I think it's leading up to this shot, where as you can kind of see, yeah, they definitely make the most out of the drone shot here, where you can kind of see the grandness of everything. So yeah, overall, I think it's getting there where they're testing out. Yeah, here we go. So this shows you the kind of the size of the entire arena with all those screens and uh, illuminating the fans and the wrestlers, of course. So yeah, I'll go ahead and fast forward and play the producer's note before the final matchup of the test stream.
In about 1 minute, our third match is coming to you in 1 minute. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you for your patience.
Alrighty, so we are here on our main event of this Thunderdome sneak peek test. If you want to call it a main event, it's just the third last match. And as you can see here, we have Ridge Holland coming out to Nakamura's entrance and graphics. Even I think this is the first time that they try out the side graphics as well. There, as I mentioned at the beginning, there is commentary in this match, but I'm still muting it at the beginning of the entrances just so the copyright doesn't come in with the music. But then I'll go ahead and play a snippet of the commentary as well once they're done with their entrances. Again, I don't know the gentlemen's names, but if anyone knows who they are, definitely put them in the comments below. And then we have the returning Mansoor. I say Mansoor because I've not seen him in months. Maybe he's shown up more frequently, but I have not seen him on NXT in a while. And he's coming out to the New Day entrance and theme, but more specifically in Big E's role, because they'll kind of show the side graphics here in a second where they'll show Big E's stats right here. So yeah, it's pretty cool. The last of the creator wrestler entrances, I guess. That's what they were kind of going for. That's what I'm gonna say in my mind. So yeah, I'll go ahead and turn on the audio once these entrances are done, so you can kind of hear the commentary team, and you'll also kind of hear a little bit of the snippets too that they kind of get called out on some of the producer notes. So I'll tune it in, and then I'll provide some commentary, and then kind of close it out for this behind the scenes video review. So let me go ahead and turn it on for you.
Now, Ridge, I heard he made the long drive from Tampa this afternoon to get here.
2.5, was it
2.5 hours. He's very excited to be here versus Mansoor. He figured out he was taking on Mansoor today.
Speak up. Okay.
Got it. We're elevating the volume right here.
There we
Ridge
go.
with a nice lock right there. Wow.
At any time, you could just hear grab a hold.
Grab a hold, baby.
Ridge working the head here. Control the head. You control the body.
Wow, Mansoor with the reversal.
So yeah, as you can kind of hear there, they were still definitely getting notes from the producers backstage on just working their volume a little bit. So let me just lower it still a little bit because you can kind of hear them, and it's going to be hard to hear double commentary. So yeah, I'll again, I won't review this entire matchup, but very similar to the first two matchups where they're here, as you can definitely see, they're definitely trying out to mix out the audience in the background more often. And I think that's definitely going to be the feedback where, as I mentioned to Tom Campbell in our interview, that it was very hard. Oh, see, I'm not quite sure who he is. If anyone knows who he is, definitely put it in the comments. But as I mentioned in the interview, that it was very distracting to see the audience just change frequently. And I don't know how they're going to handle that, if they are going to keep doing that or if they're going to have like some way of doing assigned seats. I guess we'll see pretty shortly on SmackDown and at SummerSlam. But for this, I definitely think they did the most that they could with just the amount of time that they had, especially with doing it a day before SmackDown. So yeah, it'll be very interesting, and as you kind of see here, another cool drone shot that you can only get. I think it'll be interesting on how WWE decides to do it once things do get better, if we're going to keep some drone shots continuing on, or if they're going to completely go away once the fans come back. I believe at this point you can, it's very hard to see, but you can kind of make me out in the background. But I've already posted a video earlier where during the same matchup where you can kind of see me in the background. So I think that was the other part too. It's very hard to spot. You can kind of make me out there. It's very hard to focus because it does kind of remind you of the old days where if you get front row seats, which I haven't really got, to try to look out for yourself on camera, and this one is a little bit harder to do as well, just because of how frequent the cameras of the fans are changing as well. But I think that was another aspect where, as you can see here, they're definitely having a hard-fought match. So now that I got to watch it on a second watch here, they definitely definitely noticed the wrestling action a bit more, and you can kind of see some of the reactions from the fans in the back where they focus a little bit more, but some of them are not staying the frame as the producers wanted. So cool. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the last producer note before they hung up. A fun fact is that they didn't hang up for a while, where, excuse me, as I mentioned earlier, I started this whole stream around 2:15, and I believe at this point it was around 4 o'clock or so, or even 4:30. So I was kind of waiting to see when they would actually shut it off, because there was a graphic that said thanks for tuning in, and that's it for us. And yeah, they didn't actually turn off the thing. You can kind of still make out some of the background noise in the back where they're still testing out music, and they're still doing some kind of calls, but it's very faint where you can't really audibly hear what they're saying, but you can just still hear some background noise and some of the music playing in the background. I'm guessing they were still working and figuring things out. But yeah, I'll go ahead and play the last audio note here, and then we'll close out the review.
Audience out there, thank you everybody very much for your patience and in joining us tonight for our test of WWE Thunderdome. That's going to conclude our test for the evening, and we'll see everybody tomorrow for Friday Night Smackdown. Thank you very much again. We appreciate everyone's help. Thank you for joining us.
And yeah, that was pretty much it, where they just signed off. And like I mentioned earlier, yeah, they technically didn't sign off from the stream that they had, where it just kind of stayed up there. Funny note that if you actually go visit the website itself, I'll put a link in there. It'll just say that you don't have the permission. So it's just funny that you can actually go to the Thunderdome website, which I believe is www.thunderdome something. So I'll make sure to put the link in the video description. But yeah, that was pretty much it. And I thought my overall thoughts, I guess, is yeah, there's like I really wish that they had done this a lot earlier, where they did it even like a week or 2 weeks ahead and just did a couple of these test streams, and I think they would have worked out the kinks a lot more. But we'll see how it goes. I'm recording this before SmackDown airs, so I'm gonna go as blindly as everyone else when it comes to like seeing what improvements they made from this video, and it's gonna see how much they improve on SmackDown and at SummerSlam. So thanks again for checking out this video. Hopefully you check it out before watching those two events, so you can kind of see more of the behind the scenes of what actually happened with this sneak peek test run. And yeah, we'll definitely be posting more videos on our YouTube channel. We're trying to get better at it, so we would definitely appreciate a subscription for future content like this. And yeah, if you want us to cover anything else specifically, make sure to let us know in the comments as well. And make sure to check out our weekly podcast as well, where we are doing a retroactive NXT review podcast. We're on season 3 currently, and we're trying to wrap that up so we can start hitting season 4. And we also have a brand new podcast series called One Fall, where we're actually doing different one-off specials, like the breakout tournament that we just did, and we want to cover the Cruiserweight Classic at one point, and we want to do WWE Evolution as well. So definitely follow us to stay up to date with those new episodes when they come out. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time. Take care.